So the springlock technology was used to take place of the tuts required for spellcasting. Huh. Hi. What are you doing here? My class doesn't start for about another month. Do you want? Oh, do you want a sneak peek? I can't show you obviously I can't show you the lessons that I have prepared, but I can maybe I could give you a little taste of what to expect in this class. Okay, sure. Let's go. So the pseudo lesson will revolves around an incident taking place at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, one of the last locations back in in Hurricane, Utah, back in the fall of 2000. For those who don't know, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria was a very popular family restaurant similar to Chuck E. Cheese that ended up closing back in the 80s due to a slew of incidents. One of which resulted in the removal of a front lobe. But today we'll be covering. We will be covering the incident. The incident we'll be covering was one that resulted in its closure, involving 6 victims and 7 survivors. 5 of which were the mystical variety. And our first subject is Mike Schmidt, who is currently sitting as the lead supernatural asset extraction officer for the MCA. His discipline is metallurgy, which is, surprise, surprise, a branch of natural magic. He was known as the pseudo-physical kid, and it resulted in him getting an interesting nickname, the pseudo-physical kid, during his time here. Another thing, apparently said he actually would screw weed out of bored. Just bored. He was bored. Worst things to do on a Saturday, right? Am I right? He says here he actually asked Dean Fogg about the job, who back when he was Professor Fogg. He was he's had a esteemed career since then, with a few busts under his belt. To get further down the line, maybe somewhere. Seems he had a younger brother name of Garrett, and he was one of Afton's victims. Speaking of Afton, we will be getting into him in a bit here. But for now, on to our next subject. Vanessa Shelley, her discipline was metacomposition, which is a branch of knowledge magic, just as my own discipline is. At the time of the incident, she was the lead investigator for the MCA, and she was also, as it turns out, daughter of William Afton, a guy who kicked off this whole shebang in the first place. She ended up dying trying to stop him. She cast a spell to try to shut down his springlock suit, which was what I was talking about when you guys actually had come in. It turns out, well, she failed and became a Niffin. Mike was forced to box her. Now, for those who aren't in the know about Niffins, basically, I'm sure you've had your teachers tell you if you fail at a spell, if you make a mistake during a spell, you need to stop. And well, Niffin is one of the reasons why. I've also had a look at the spell, and that was a bona fide Niffin maker. It would have. I am not at all surprised it failed, and I can't even say she's in a better place now. So I just hope. Although I do wish she would be. But on to our next subject. Abby Schmidt, her discipline is dream manipulation, which is a branch of psychic magic. She's a Mindhunter for the MCA, which is just a psychic bounty hunter. She is actually, according to this, she actually was quite the prodigious magical talent, even during the incident, because, said she performed feats of battle magic, quite a few telekinetic feats, and apparently a feat of dream manipulation so powerful that it carried out into the real world. During her time here, she actually created a spell called Schmidt's Ambience. It's very popular, and from right here, it's pretty popular with exorcists, and it's pretty it was actually based on the Springlock shutdown spell that Vanessa created. So I guess the Springlock shutdown spell stumbled, so Schmidt's Ambience could run. Well, on to our next subject. This is William Afton. His discipline was electromagnetism, which is a branch of the physical magic. He was father of Vanessa Shelley, and the killer of Garrett Schmidt, with brother to Mike and Abby Schmidt, and he was the perpetrator behind the incident that we're covering here, and it's covered in this case file here, and then the MCI incident back in the 80s, which he doesn't know. He took 5 kids. He selected 5 kids at random and lured them into the back, and he killed them wearing what is called a spring lock suit, which is apparently it was a spring bunny, I think it was called. He wears the yellow, and apparently he modified this thing too, specifically the spring locks to carry out the work required for spell casting. I mean, it's an ingenious method, but honestly, that's the highest praise I'm going to give this dude, because from what I hear of his time, he was a real piece of shit, and he was absolutely no better to his family and anyone else. And I mean, child killer. So I mean, he's a child killer. What do you expect? And speaking of which, our next subject is this is just, I might make a quick mention of something. As someone who has the benefit of dating a traveler, I've actually been to a world where these kids actually got to live out their lives. So starting off, Evan Afton, the child possessing Freddy, who's called Golden Freddy, is an interdimensional traveler. It's a branch of psychic magic, just like Abby's. He died before the missing children's incident, and ended up standing up against his father during the FNAF incident. He continues to aid Abby as her familiar. Basically, just doing stuff like gathering materials, info, that kind of thing for things she can't do when she uses her powers. Now Gabriel, he is the child possessing Freddy, is what is called a squatmancer. Basically, for whatever reason, the proctors who examined him during his time at Breakbills were unable to determine his discipline. And just like Evan, he's basically the only one who can interact with the mortal world in spirit form. Susie, Chica, the child possessing Chica, her discipline is teleportation, and it's a branch of physical magic. Because unlike interdimensional travel, teleportation only works within the world that the caster is the magician is the magician is in. She generally just sticks to feats of teleportation whenever she interacts with anyone to attack or to just get away from the or fend them off, whatever. Jeremy. Now, before we get on to Jeremy, Jeremy was the child possessing Bonnie. His discipline is telekinesis, and he was the dean of. He was the nephew of Dean Fogg. The two of them were very close when he was alive, and honestly, Dean Fogg doesn't really like to talk about it. I don't blame him. Then there's Fritz, the last of them. He is a the child possessing Foxy. He is a hedge witch. He's the most mobile of the 5 of them, and he relied on battle magic even as an animatronic. They generally stick to just feats of raw magic when dealing with anything. Let's just move on to our next subject. So bye. Oh my God, not bye. I mean, onto the next subject. The actual victims of the FNAF incident. Starting with the trio of hedge witches. First being Jeff Smith. He was well known for his aptitude for casting battle magic spells. He went there to look for his father, who was the previous security guard before Mike. And by the way, he ended up getting killed by Foxy after he damaged him in a fit of rage, as it turns out. Jeff ended up meeting his fate at the hands of Afton. He got stabbed repeatedly. And I mean repeatedly, just like, oh shit, machine gun stab. But anyway, on to Hank Rawlings. He was well known for his talent for telekinetic charms, similar to the telekinetic toolbox. That's like I forget his name, but he did a YouTube video on the different types of battle magic spells, which rather impressive. Actually, rather impressive. When went to Freddy's to help. He went to Freddy's to help Jeff look for his father, who was also a friend of his, and he had a bit of a fight. He had some pretty sticky fingers that ended up costing him, especially when when Bonnie caught him trying to steal from the prize counter. He telekinetically hurled a guitar straight through the guy's chest. It was just unreal. Oh my god. Then there's Carl Elton. He is known for his some really good illusion spells, apparently, and had this night vision charm. But I only have their word on that. I only have their word on the Hedge Witches, the Safe House's word on that. Anyway, he went into the pizza. He went with Jeff to help his friend look for his father, and ended up. He did his own investigation. Went into the kitchen, and he startled the hell out of Chica, resulting in her teleporting that mechanical cupcake at him. Just say the aftermath wasn't pretty, and leave it there. The three of them, their spirits were actually exorcised just before the building was fully torn down, so that's good. Okay, so on to the next victim, which was Max Smith, sister of Jeff Smith, and her discipline was invisibility, and her which was a branch of illusion magic. She ended up going to break bills at the same time Mike and Vanessa did, and graduated alongside Mike and wound up living with him during the whole thing, during the incident. She went looking for her brother when she happened upon the pizzeria, and that's actually how she ended up meeting her end. She went to the back rooms. From what I saw in the video footage, she went to the back rooms, found her brother and his friend's bodies, and that's when she encountered Afton, who ended up running her through. She put up a decent fight before then, but sadly Afton ended up getting his way. So thankfully she's hopefully in a better place with considering her spirit was exorcised from Freddy's just before it was torn down. So I'm glad to hear that. So, on to the other parties involved in the incident. There is Jane Schmidt, who was the aunt of both Abby and Mike. Her discipline is curse analysis, which is a branch of healing magic. At the time of the incident, she ran a back alley clinic for head witches and rogue magicians. But from what I hear, it's been shut down since then. She herself was unable to take custody of Abby due to the fact that she actually has a prior criminal record. I think it has something to do with arson, last I checked, but arson. Yeah, it has something to do with arson, and during Mike's final raid on Freddy's during the final night of the incident, she actually fell unconscious due to fright. Something ghost passed through her door and just passed right out. But when she came to, she did in fact call the police and ambulances, and actually ended up getting in touch with Dean Fogg. Speaking of which. Dean Henry Fogg, his discipline is metacomposition, and it is a branch of knowledge magic. He was a professor during the FNAF incident, and he recommended the job to Mike when Mike actually ended up approaching him about jobs in the local Hurricanes local magical community. His nephew Jeremy was actually one of the MCI victims. He actually visits the playpen. He visits the playpen whenever, on occasion, to visit Bonnie, which Jeremy resides in. And wow, cool. Well, that concludes today's pseudo lesson. I hope you enjoyed, and once you take my class next month, I hope you find those just as engaging. And trust me, I have some beautiful things in store. Until then, goodbye.